Way back when, it kind of sounds like a fairy tale. Once upon a time, long ago, I ended up in a rodeo and in a little podunk town called El Dorado, Texas. And you know, like a lot of towns, you know, it's spelled El Dorado, but you can always tell who the new people are because that's how they pronounce it. But it's El Dorado, Texas. And I was signed up in the bareback ride, and me and some buddies went over there and everything. And I hadn't ridden since college, and so we got back there behind the chutes, and we was all entered up. And I noticed something that I had seen a lot of times, and just, you know, a lot of times you see things, you just don't really pay attention to the way things are done. And it was so funny because, you know, I get back there and I've got my rigging bag and everything, and I know what horse I'm going to draw, and I'd seen him buck before, and I knew I had my work cut out for me, and everybody was either walking up and congratulating me or apologizing to me beforehand because this thing was pretty rank. But I got back there, and there's all the bull riders, and, you know, they're rosining up their ropes. And bull riders have a certain set of calisthenics that they do before they get on. I mean, you'll see them back there, and they're doing this, and, you know, and they're, you know, bending down and jumping up, bending down and jumping up. And I mean, I was getting asthma just watching them, so I just sat on the deal and I just puffed on my asthma inhaler because they was wearing me out. And then you've got your saddle bronc riders. They've all got their saddles sitting on the ground, and they're putting some rosin on the swells and everything, and they're right there, and boy, they're getting it right there on the ground, and that would have bucked me off just by doing that. But, you know, what do bareback riders do? Because, you know, you can always see the rough stock riders in the back. You can tell them different from the ropers because they're all over there clean and holding their ropes and everything. And all the rough stock riders, the dummies, they're over here doing their calisthenics. And I thought, you know what? I don't really have any type of rodeo calisthenics to do. So I just jumped off the pipe on my head and started flopping because that's about how I rode bareback. And so I had 3 cowboys trying to give me CPR, and that was not going to happen. I don't like, even though I dipped at the time, I don't like, you know, why y'all girls kiss him? I have no idea. Y'all are sick. And so anyway, after I got done with my calisthenics, you know, bareback is usually the first event. And boy, I see this big old dun horse come in, and he goes up in the chute, and they're getting the flank strap put on him, and I lower my bareback rigging over there, and I've got my old hand stuffed in there, and I had a bunch of petroleum jelly in my fingers because I wasn't that good, and I didn't want to get hung up. And you know, if I came out, then I'd just say, "Oh, dadgum." But anyway, I had everything ready to go. And, you know, there was another time whenever, and I'll come back to that. Have you ever been, I had a message from my boss whenever I worked in Odessa for an inventory, I was the inventory manager for a company, and I got a call from the big wig owner, and he said, "Hey, can you play golf?" And I was like, "Well, no, but I can have fun." He said, "Well, one of our teams were having a tournament in Odessa this morning, and one of our team members wasn't able to come. So do you have some golf clubs?" And I said, "Yeah, my brother's got some there in Midland." He said, "Run, get them, and meet us out there." And I was like, "Okay." So I called up my brother, and he goes, "You're going to do what?" I said, "I'm going to play golf." He said, "Do you even know how to play it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, all you got to do is hit that little ball." Cowboy, I can hit a ball. And so anyway, I go get everything gathered up, and I'm dressed just like this. And so we get up there, and there's a 4-man team against a 4-man team, and there was an A group, and then there was a B group. So there was another 4-man team against a 4-man team. So if you do the math, there was like 12 of us standing there. And, well, actually, let's see, 4, 8, 16. And there was 16 of us standing there. And anyway, we were in the A group, and we were starting out on hole number 18. And I'm sitting there, and I've got I don't know. I've got the big club, because that's what I called it, the big club. And I'm standing there with my big club and this little ball, and that ball keeps getting smaller and smaller as I look at it. And they said, and I knew what was going to happen. You know, you just have that feeling. The boss pays for everything, and he says, when we hear the horn go off for everybody to start, he goes, Kevin, why don't you get up there on that tee box and start us all off? If you've never been in that situation, that will make you a praying man. And I got up there, and I teed that ball up on a branch that I found, because I figured I was better at tee-ball than golf. And so I teed it up about this high, and there was some snickering going on back behind me. And I walked up there, and I've never prayed so hard in my life. I said, Dear God, if you're real, don't let me miss. I'm not asking for anything more than that. Do not let me miss. And so I got up there, and I get all squatted down like you're going to do a country papa squat. And y'all ain't never done that, I know. And so I get down like this here, and I'm like, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day. And somebody yelled, hit it! And I was like, okay! And I reared back, and I hit that stick instead of the ball. Not really. I hit the ball. I topped it. I don't know how you top a ball that's teed up this high, but I did. And it went out there, and it bounced off the ladies' tee box. And I was standing there, and I turned around, and I said, did anybody see where that went? And this one fella said, you nearly had to pull your britches down because you didn't make it past the woman's tee box. I said, I'm just giving y'all a chance. And so I see this big dun horse come in, and I'm like in the middle, and so I'm thinking, okay, somebody's going to go first, and I've got everything ready. And I guess they drove straws back there or something, because the chute boss walked up, and he goes, all right, Cowboy, you're out first. And I was like, what? I was like, all right, I'm going to set the stage right here, baby. And so I stuck my glove in there, and I twisted it, and I got a good bind, and I nodded for it, and nothing happened. And I figured out that I really wasn't nodding, I was screaming. But anyway, that was my cry. And so they opened the gate, and that old big dun horse come out, and he took about 3 deals, and he set me up real good, and then he just he exploded. And the next thing I know, I got a mouthful of arena, and I get up, and I kind of put my hat, kind of pull my hat down, and there's this weird sound going on, and everybody, the whole stands, are standing up just cheering like you wouldn't believe. And I know I didn't ride that thing for 3 or 4 seconds. And I thought, man, this is a good crowd. And the announcer is laughing. I mean, he is belly laughing. And I thought, that's rude. That is just rude. And so here comes this clown. When the clown runs out to you during the bareback riding, it's never a good thing. And here comes a clown, and he's running out to me, and my horse is still just a pitching and a farting out through there. And he shakes my hand, and I hear the announcer say, people, I have been announcing rodeos for 20 years. And he said, I have never, ever seen such an extraordinary ride in all my life. And I thought, man, I must have put a whooping on him. And I get back to the chutes, and cowboys are laughing and patting me on the back, and I'm like, thanks. I don't know what, when you're that awesome, you don't even know sometimes what's going on. And so, anyway, my buddy Chad, he comes up to me, and he's up in the bull riding, and he goes, how did you do that? And I was like, do you ask, how'd I do what? And I just looked at him, like cowboys will, and just like, it's just what we do. And then I looked around. I said, what did I do? He said, you didn't do that on purpose? And I said, well, I might have. What? I mean, I know what I did. I want you to tell me if you saw what I knew I did. And he said, you're full of crap. He said, you really don't know what everybody's laughing about. And I said, I ain't got no idea. He said, it was the dangest thing. He said, you screwed down on that horse. You got your old hand in there, and then you started screaming like a girl. And everybody was asking, is he calling for it, or is he like a Viking warrior, or what? He said, I was a little bit embarrassed, and then you yelled, turn him out! And they opened the gate, Kevin, and you got your mark out just like you had been to the NFR. And that's about as pretty as it got. And he said, that big old dun horse, he set you up like that. And on that second jump, whenever he skied up there, he said, you was laid back real pretty. He said, I knew you was already off. You just hadn't come off yet. He said, but you were so pretty. And as you came off, so did your hat. And I said, really? He said, yeah, and that's where it gets great. He said, you come off like a rag doll. It was pretty ugly. And he said, in mid-flight, you reached out and you grabbed your hat and you put your hat back on. He said, then you hit like a big old sack of taters. And I said, yeah, I did that on purpose. Yeah.